Alrighty, good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is November the 10th. It's a Monday today. Over the weekend, we did have some news as well with the potential end to this government shutdown. So you can see overall markets end up bottoming here on Friday. Kind of a nice push into the end of day on Friday. Plus, we have a gap up this morning. So coming into this week, really, we'll kind of talk about the levels moving forward. I do expect the overall markets to start rallying into the end of year. So, with this kind of pullback to start off the month, now with the buyers stepping in, I do expect a potential Christmas rally coming up here in the overall markets. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, definitely feeling a lot better. Feeling probably like 80%. So, should be good. What's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning. Good morning, B Roots, KO, Victor, Robert, Deuce, Cody, Jeff, Lamit. Good morning, Martin, 50 under Deuce. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Also, yeah, bank holiday tomorrow as well. Hard tick, enlisted. Good morning, Robert, Miss Reggie, Hector. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. Let's bring up this weekly outlook, and then we'll get started here as well. Okay. Let me bring this up. Grab some water here. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Alrighty. Yeah, let's get on to kind of the key economic events and main red folder news events, along with some earnings this week. So, with the government shutdown potentially coming to an end soon, at least for the key economic events, we don't really have any this week. The only thing that we do have is a Fed member that is speaking on Wednesday at 10:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, on Thursday, if the government does decide to reopen, which is not fully yet confirmed, but CPI potentially on Thursday, and then Friday as well, PPI and the rest of the things. So we'll actually kind of keep you guys updated throughout the week in regards to the red folder news events. As for the earnings calendar, so we still have a couple earnings left, as you can see. A few of them, all the major MAG 7 ones have already reported, but we still have a couple coming up. NVIDIA is also reporting fairly soon here as well, but RGTI, CRWV, right, OKLO, Beyond Meat, some of you guys, this has been kind of a penny stock that's been hot the past couple of, well, it was hot like a month ago. Other ones here as well, Circle, Cisco, and a couple other ones. So if you are trading any of these names, make sure if they do have earnings. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let's go on to the charts right off the bat. All right. This is for the ES. So markets pulling back after FOMC. Overall drop with weakness in semis with the AI hype. What I'd like to see coming to next week is the reaction that we have off the previous all-time highs, 6,800 key level. On the higher time frames, we are still bullish. On the daily time frame, just a little bit of a pullback here on the hourly. All right, let's go on to the higher time frame. So as you can see here on the ES, as I mentioned, higher lows are still intact. So higher lows on the daily time frame are being maintained, and we're continuing to push towards the upside. And as you can see, the key level that we have marked out is just going to be our 6,800, our previous all-time highs level. If we go onto the hourly chart, you can see we've really had some nice reactions around this general area, broke underneath, tried using it as a retest, broke back underneath, and we end up having a nice continuation lower. Now with the overall markets coming back up into this general area, which is your previous all-time highs, you can see nice push here on Friday to end off the week. We have a little bit of a gap up here as well, and now we're pushing above this level here in the pre-market. What I like to see coming to market open today is really the reaction that we have off the previous all-time highs level. If we can maintain above this level coming to market open, potentially we can see a push towards the upside right off the bat, up in towards our 6850. If we break underneath this level, then we're just going to see this gap fill back towards the downside, which we created for the week. What I like to see here now on the overall markets is all kind of major dips be bought up for continuation higher. So for the overall markets now, in my opinion, as long as you can maintain really above, it's going to be your Thursday's lows I'm going to lean a little bit more towards the upside. So coming into today, what I'll be looking for is either the bounce off your previous all-time highs, or if you can get a pullback long, either back down in towards our previous kind of gap fill that we've created, or if we can bounce all the way back down or pull back all the way back down in towards that Thursday's lows of last week, I'd like to see kind of pullback longs for a continuation higher. So for the ES coming to market open, these are the levels that we're going to have marked out, just primarily your previous all-time highs level. That's going to be key coming to market open. Other levels that we can have marked out now here as well is just going to be this key high, which is your 68.50 here on the higher time frames. If you go into the SPY chart, fairly similar, but just a little bit different here. We gapped up above key levels, as you can see. The levels that I have marked out personally on the SPY now is just going to be your 680, which is the same level we have marked out on the ES. And then we have our previous all-time highs, 674. So coming into market open really today, potential bounce play off your 674 for continuation. If we pull back all the way back down in towards your previous kind of close from Friday, it still technically would be bullish for a push towards the upside, or if price really got above your 680, which I am not a fan of. So I personally like to see a pullback if we're going to go long towards the upside. If the market pushes right off the bat higher, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious, but pull back longs back down in towards your 674 or potentially your full gap fill that we've created here over the weekend. The only way I'm really interested in a short would just be purely just a day trade, just because as you can see, overall markets, nice kind of bounce here on Friday. We're gapping up here as well. We do have this gap fill towards the downside. So if you are looking for a potential intraday trade lower, then it would just be primarily looking for a mini scalp. Really, it's going to be underneath your previous all-time highs. There is not that much room. So you could be looking for these shorts underneath. Now it's going to be your 674 coming into market open. All right, that's for the SPY and ES. Overall, higher time frame, as I mentioned, is still fairly bullish. So really what I do like to see now is the overall markets push towards the upside to kind of end off the year and to potentially get that Christmas rally going. So basically the Christmas rally as well, there's not a set time for it, but essentially it's more based off sentiment. And right, really from November to December and to the end of the year, we're going to start to see the markets essentially rally. All right, let's go on to the NQ. Yeah, if you guys didn't know as well, the markets are open tomorrow, but it is a bank holiday. So I do expect it to be lower volume with Veterans Day. It's also, since it is a bank holiday, if you guys are on a cash account, right, the settlement is going to be the next day after. All right, let's take a look at the NQ here. Right now, you can see that the NQ is pulling back on the higher time frames. With the overall market weakness, NQ pulling back a little bit harder than the rest of the tech names. What I'd like to see coming to next week is the reaction that we have off your previous all-time highs level. So as you can see, fairly similar thing here, right? Higher lows are being built on the NQ, where it's still maintaining above key levels. And now we're trying to reclaim back above your 25,400. So as you can see right here, key levels that we have marked out is your 25,400. Multiple touches here, touch here, touch here, touch here. Now you can see kind of rejected here on Friday and continue to push towards the downside. Key levels that we have marked out coming into market open, exact same level, previous all-time highs. You can see another touch here in the overnight session. So coming into today here for the ES, pull back longs back down and towards your previous all-time highs, continuation towards the upside. Another possible scenario, pull back longs back down and towards your full gap fill for this continued push back towards the upside here as well, offer 25,200. So these are the key levels that we have marked out coming into today here for the NQ, right? Either the pullback long back down and towards your previous all-time highs, and or as I mentioned, that full gap fill bounce for that continuation higher. Regardless, what I like to see now is this potential higher time frame inverse head and shoulders. So we have that left shoulder, you have our head. Now we like to see this right shoulder confirm this push higher, right, via a pullback long for a continuation off your previous all-time highs, or now it's going to be the pullback long off your 25,200 for this push back towards the upside here as well. So really coming into today and specifically this week, we are going to be looking for that pullback long, as I mentioned, for the markets to continue higher. The only way I'm interested in a potential mean reversion or a short back towards the downside will really be underneath your previous all-time highs. But as I mentioned, there's really not too much room lower. The short, in my opinion, would just be a quick scalp down in towards that previous kind of gap fill level. If we break underneath this 25,200, then potentially we can see a little bit more of a push lower towards the downside. But overall market with the news, with it gapping out with the bottom on Friday, I think this would be really out of the picture. Of course, it's not out of the picture fully, but I don't expect the markets to break underneath your 25,200 and stay heavy underneath that level. As for the Qs coming into today, key levels that we have on the Qs is just going to be your previous all-time high. So the levels may be a little bit different between the ES and NQ, just because there's a little bit more information here on the Qs. Sorry, the NQ compared to the QQQ. But overall, if we look at this on the hourly chart, key levels that we have marked out is your 612. You can see tried holding it, broke underneath. Now we're reclaiming it. For the overall markets, as long as you can maintain above, now it's your 612, we can expect this to reverse back towards the upside. So for the overall markets coming into today, key levels that we have marked out, as I mentioned, it's going to be your 612 plus 613, right? With this gap up, if we can get that pullback long coming to market open or maybe tomorrow, right, we'll be looking for a continuation higher. So this is the key level for the Qs coming to market open, 612. As for levels towards the upside, 621. So coming to today, we can mark out our 621, 612. You can be looking for your pre-market levels here as well, but best, as I mentioned, is going to be that pullback long for that continuation higher. Okay. All right, now let's go on to some of the tech names that we have coming into today. The gap fills, yeah, overall markets, whenever there's imbalances in the market usually likes to go back and fill those essentially imbalances in the market. All right, let's go on to a few tech names here as well now. If you guys do have any tickers or any charts you'd like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. If you guys haven't joined the daily watch list, that of course is in the description below as well. All right, we'll go on to a few of the Mag 7 names, and then we'll head on to some other tickers here as well. All right. For Tesla, thesis for this coming week right now, you can see that Tesla is consolidating here on the higher time frames. This one, after a big push, has been stuck inside of the range between the 470 along with the 420. What I like to see moving forward is the reactions that we have off that level. The reaction that we have off the high and the low of the range. Currently, Tesla really not bouncing as much compared to the overall market, but as you can see here, if we have this daily time frame pulled out, kind of nice push towards the upside, and now we're just consolidating. Kind of consolidating in this general area, right in between, as I mentioned, your 420 along with your 470. Now for Tesla, coming to the bottom of the range, what we like to see if buyers can step in and eventually push this back towards our all-time highs. So if we turn back on our levels, the key levels that we have marked out really on Tesla, as I mentioned, 416, earnings low. In the top of the range, which is really this 470. In between here is just kind of the middle of the range, 440, along with their 460. So we're just kind of consolidating in this general area. In between here, right, just keep an eye out on key levels, right, 460, 440, right, the bounces, rejections, right? Don't look for too much continuation here on Tesla just because we have been ranging, as I mentioned. So for Tesla coming into today and actually moving forward, 470, 420 are your key levels. At least coming to market open today here for Tesla, keep an eye out on your 440. If we reject off your 440, potential continuation back towards the downside. If we can reclaim back above your 440, potential mean reversion back up and towards your 450 and your 460. So keep an eye out on your 440 coming into market open. All right, Nvidia pulling back after hitting all-time highs. This will move nicely back towards the downside after Palantir earnings. What I like to see is the reaction that we have off the key level of support on this name. We do have earnings coming up as well, which is going to affect this very soon. Okay, so as for Nvidia, let's kind of talk about the key levels that we have. Plus, you can see we have earnings coming up here as well, which is going to be in 2 weeks. So for Nvidia, the key levels that we had marked out not too long ago was really this 184. We broke above it, retested, ultimately failed, but once we reclaimed back above, nice continuation higher. Now we had really nice push. Now we're coming right back down, right in towards our key level of support, which in this case, as you can see, is that 184. So coming into today and moving forward, key levels 184. We also have your previous all-time highs, which is your 195. So coming to market open here for Nvidia, really at least on the hourly chart, if you want to see upside, above your 195 for continuation. Another possible scenario now is going to be this pullback long, back down and towards your previous day close for this continued push higher here as well. So for on this 15-minute time frame, technically Nvidia is still weak because we're underneath our key level, so very much well could pop and fade. Yeah, sorry. They very much well could pop and fade and come back down and towards that 188, which is going to be that full gap fill. Longs, in my opinion, as I mentioned, are either above your 195. It's going to be a little bit difficult with this big gap up here. I'd much rather see a pullback long, which in this case will be the bounce off your 188 here on the higher time frame. So at least for Nvidia coming to market open, just keep an eye out on your 195. Right, longs above your 195, I'd be a little bit more cautious on. Potentially, as I mentioned, you could be looking for that gap fill reversal coming to market open back down in towards that 188. Either way, Nvidia, I do like this one here on the higher time frames coming into earnings here as well, which is going to be in 2 weeks. All right, now we have Apple. After having earnings and moving towards your all-time highs, this one really hasn't done much since. You can see that we're just consolidating this general area. What I'd like to see moving forward is the reaction that I have off the earnings low. So as you can see here for Apple, really nice pop-up with earnings, kind of faded off day number 1, and now we've just been consolidating. Overall markets, you can see bouncing nicely. Apple really not doing too much. So now for Apple, really the key levels that we're just going to have marked out. We can even refine this level if you'd like here as well. But this is just general area that matters, right? Apple consolidating in between your 273 along with around this general like 268 level. What I like to see here on Apple, if we want to see upside, as I mentioned, break outside the range, 272 for continuation higher. If you want to see some downside, primarily it's going to be underneath your Friday's lows, which is your 269 for continuation. So until Apple can break really outside this range, I would be hands off just because it hasn't done too much, right? Apple, you just want to be a little bit more patient on. I do like this earnings reversal eventually, but it's going to have to show me strength above your 272. Let's go into AMD. Solid push towards on AMD towards the all-time highs. After that push along with earnings, we start to slow down. Now we're pulling back towards your previous all-time highs, key level 224. This is the exact level I'd like to see AMD hold for a push back towards the upside. Okay. As you can see for AMD, let's kind of look at this weekly chart. This is one of my favorite looking charts here on the higher time frames, previous all-time highs. Now what we like to see, we broke above it, retest, continuation. So this is the exact level, 230, previous all-time highs. I'd like to see turn into support for a continued push higher. Keep an eye out on AMD moving forward, as I mentioned, right? This one I do really like. You can see perfect touch here on Friday, multiple touches right in towards a key level, 224. Now what I like to see is really this reversal back up and towards our all-time highs. If you go back onto the lower time frames here, we had earnings last week, drop, pop, just a lot more range here, but now we finally came back down, retested your previous all-time highs. Moving forward here for AMD, key level, previous day highs, 236. What I personally like to see here is, right, similar thing, inverse head and shoulders. So I'd like to see coming to market open. Pullback longs offer 236 for this continuation higher. Another possible scenario above your 244 for continuation higher here as well. My favorite scenario, as I mentioned, pullback longs, 236 for continuation higher. Essentially, higher time frame reversal, right, off your previous all-time highs. And then I like to see the higher lows be built really off this level for a continuation higher. So moving forward, keep an eye out on AMD. As I mentioned, this is one of my favorite looking higher time frames, really straight off of your previous all-time highs. So keep an eye out on any pullback longs for continuation back towards the upside. Levels 244, 236. All right. Now let's go on to Meta. Big drop on Meta after earnings. This one has been weak compared to the overall markets, and this one dropped lower. Now we have filled the daily gap from earlier in May. What I like to see is if buyers can step in off this level for a pushback towards the upside. Okay, so as you can see really here for Meta, we had earnings recently, weak earnings, and then we end up dropping towards the downside with the overall market weakness. This one ended up pushing lower here as well. We actually just came back down and filled the gap. So for Meta, you can see buyers are stepping in. Overall, now we're in a clear downtrend here on the hourly chart. So for Meta, number one, right, you can see some buyers stepping in off this full gap fill, reclaiming back above your 625. For Meta, this one's going to be a little bit more difficult, for a reversal play, just because it very much well could get back underneath and continue right towards the downside. For longs, if you can maintain above your 625, potentially you can see a reversal. But as I mentioned, Meta, one of the weaker tickers. There's a lot better tickers you can be looking for if you want to play a mean reversion. But for Meta, key levels, at least moving forward and coming to this week, 630. If we can maintain, potentially we can see a reversal back up and towards your 650. If we get back underneath, potentially we can see a reversal right back down and towards your 605. As for Amazon, so I do like Amazon here on the daily chart with the gap up that we had not too long ago. So gap up after earnings on Amazon. Now we're pulling back towards your previous all-time highs key level. This is exactly where I like to see the buyers step in. What I like to see is a strong reaction off your previous all-time highs. So as you can see, Amazon shaping up fairly nicely here as well. What we have is a gap up towards all-time highs. Now we're above your previous all-time highs, as you can see right here, all the way back from February this year. And you can see this daily candle. What I like to see now is Amazon push back up and towards our all-time highs. Currently, you can see previous resistance turn into support. Now let's see if we can get that continuation higher. So you can see right here, closed underneath it on the lower time frames, higher time frame daily candle closed strong. Now with this gap up here as well, really coming into today, the key levels I'm personally going to have marked out is going to be this general area. We had this level marked out before here on Amazon, but it was basically this key high. You can actually just extend this down. So really for Amazon, this is our kind of earnings high that we created. This was back from October the 31st. We had multiple touches in this general area, tried holding this level, ultimately broke underneath. Now for Amazon coming into today, 247 is going to be key along with your previous day close. If you want to see some upside, really maintain above your 247 for a push higher. Or if it breaks underneath, we can be looking for the pullback longs. We can be looking for the pullback longs off your previous day highs, 245 for this continued pushback towards the upside here as well. So we have on Amazon for a move higher, either as I mentioned, base above your 247 or the pullback longs back down in towards that 245. Either way, as I mentioned, based off that daily time frame, this is one of my favorite charts as well. Fairly similar setup to AMD here. It's just your previous all-time highs retest for a push higher. Amazon, similar thing. Break above. Now we're retesting. Let's see if we can get that continuation higher. So Amazon and AMD look fairly similar. And I do like these ones the best for a continuation back up and towards our all-time highs. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, almost 8:30 here now as well. So yeah, if you guys do have any charts or any tickers you guys like me to go over, I'll probably go over them for another 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Hope you guys are doing well. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers, you guys can drop them in the chat now. I'll go over some for the next 5 to 10 minutes, and then I will get ready for market open. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop a like. Let's see if we can get to 200 likes. First day somewhat back. Well, I at least have the webcam, so that usually means I'm getting a little bit better. But we have that, of course. If you guys are new, we have the free daily watch list, of course, below as well. That's in the description if you guys want to join that. All right. Let me grab some water here, and then we'll head on to a few other names. On the Q's chart, would the 610 be a key level? Yeah, 610, right? Previous all-time highs are this level right here, 612. So previous all-time highs, very key level here for the Qs. All right, let me go over a couple of these names here. So let's go over gold. Overall, gold kind of pulled back after this really blow off the top type of move. Now for gold, we're basing, and now we're getting that next leg higher. Let's see if we can potentially push higher. Ultimately, I do expect gold to probably create a potential kind of lower high here. But we can see a nice push back up and towards. Now it's going to be this 4,200. So for gold, really the key levels that we have marked out here now is just going to be your 4,200. Sorry. So key levels that we have marked out is this 40, basically this 40 key level, and then really back up and towards your 4,200. So what I personally like to see, a dip, or as long as we can now maintain above your 40, we can see a push back up and towards really this general area that we broke down from. There's a very key level here on the higher time frame. So I like to see really gold push up in towards this general area, and that's going to be the next key level of resistance here. I'll go over Bitcoin just because we haven't in a while here as well. But for Bitcoin, key levels that we have marked out. Let's go into the weekly time frame. Overall, this is still fairly bullish here on the higher time frame charts. Key level that we have marked out is really this 100,000. Right, also a key level of resistance here as well. Key levels that we can just have marked out. You can mark out this general area. You can see multiple touches, previous resistance, essentially turning into support. Multiple wicks underneath, broke underneath. Now we just like to see the reclaim for a push back towards the upside. So if we look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see multiple touches, break underneath. I personally like to see the reclaim for a push higher. We could very much well reject and then continue back lower. So keep an eye out on your 107 here on Bitcoin. All right, let's go into Palantir. So Palantir, another one which ended up having a nice retest off our key levels. So for Palantir, you had this nice consolidation break towards all-time highs. Now we end up pushing back down and towards our key level of support. And you can see exactly where the buyer stepped in, right off this key level, and we're now having this nice bounce. So for Palantir, really moving forward, coming into today, what we're going to have marked out is your 186. We're also going to mark out this level here as well, 180. So what I like to see, reclaim back above, in my opinion, right? Anything that you try and long coming into today, you either would like to see a pullback long back down in towards your previous day close, or it'd have to be a very quick trade and you'd be very aggressive, which you will really want to be a little bit more cautious coming to market open. But for something like Palantir, right, this trade in my opinion would be very difficult, right? The reclaim back above your 186 and try and going long right off the bat. I'd much rather wait for some sort of pullback here to offer a higher low based off of your Friday's lows from last week. So for Palantir, keep an eye out on, now it's going to be really this 180, and you can also keep an eye on this 186 key level here as well. Let's go over a couple other ones. Let's see. As for some of the semiconductors, so let's kind of go on to the SMH. So overall, let's actually get rid of a bunch of these ones. Okay, so overall SMH, as you can see on the higher time frames, really nice push, higher lows being built. Overall, kind of similar thing to the rest of the major indices. So coming back down for the retest, but you can see buyers stepping in on Friday, higher lows are still being built. This one looks good for a push back towards your all-time highs. Higher time frames now, reclaiming back above really key levels here if we're on the hourly chart here as well. Right, 348. Really solid push, reclaim back above. Now this is going to be your key level here for the SMH. If it rejects, potentially we can see a mean reversion. But ultimately now we like to see, right, the higher lows be built. So this is really your exact level you like to see go long, at least for a higher low based off your Friday's lows. Right, longing back up and towards your for really 358 is still in play, but I'd much rather look for long positions closer down towards that 348. So this is what we have for SMH coming to market open. As for the rest of the overall semis, right, something like AVGO, still fairly bullish. MU, you can see MU is very bullish. We kind of talked about this last week. Every dip has so far getting bought up, and we're just continuing higher. So MU is one of the leading names back towards the upside. And this one personally already back at your all-time highs. Whereas the overall market has not hit your all-time highs as of yet. So key levels is your 240, 246 for a base and break and hold for continuation higher. As for TSM, this one consolidating a little bit more. So I'd be just a little bit more cautious on this ticker, but these are the levels that we have marked out. OKLO has earnings coming up. Hood, nice bounce right off our key level support. So if you guys trade Hood, this one, in my opinion, previous all-time highs, holding nicely. Now we like to see, right, kind of continuation back towards our all-time highs. Levels that we have moving forward is really the areas that we broke down from. So for Hood, double bottom. Now we like to see, right, continuation back towards the upside here. As for a couple other ones, SoFi, nice potential bounce off our key levels here as well. We like to see this push back towards your all-time highs. Quickly go through a couple other tickers here as well. In my opinion, Intel still looks really good for a continued push higher. So a lot of these names, they look fairly similar with the overall markets kind of bouncing here. Um, a lot of these names, the dips are getting bought up or they're back down in towards key levels of support. So really for the overall markets, as I mentioned, we like to see it start bottoming here and really kind of rally into the end of year. So let me kind of just quickly go over my game plan once more, and I'll call it a day here as well. So for the overall markets, as I mentioned, coming into market open, we are most likely just going to move higher right off the bat. But I'll be a little bit cautious trying to long since we already had a nice bounce here on Friday. A really big gap up here over the weekend. So whenever we have this big of a gap up, we just have to be cautious if we want to go long right off the bat. Right? We do expect markets to now reverse, but we much rather find right either that low risk entry, which is going to be all the way back down and towards your previous all-time highs, or key levels here as well. I'd rather hold off on this long above your 620 since it's just not as good risk to reward unless you're purely just scalping it. So for the overall markets, as I mentioned, right, keep an eye out on your pullback longs back down and towards key levels. As for the NQ, exact same thing, right? Pullback longs back really down and towards your previous all-time highs. SPY and Qs, similar thing here. SPY key level is going to be your 674. So my main watch is coming to today. My main watch is coming to today here is number one, right? We should keep an eye out on Tesla just because higher time frame key level 640, multiple touches here as well. If you can reclaim, I think we can get a nice pushback towards the upside here. 440 is going to be your key level here on Tesla. Nvidia, this one has earnings coming up in 2 weeks, but overall pretty big gap up here on Nvidia. I would be a little bit cautious, as I mentioned. We're coming right in towards a key level. We very much well could reject and come right back down in towards your previous day close. For longs, in my opinion, the best area is going to be either number one, break above, retest right off the bat, immediate retest, or eventually we get that kind of pullback long, and we could be looking for the higher low off of your previous day close. I do like AMD here as well, along with Amazon. So these are my favorite higher time frames is Amazon and AMD, just because we're bouncing off your previous all-time highs level. Technical setup wise, in my opinion, AMD and Amazon look the best. So keep an eye out on AMD, similar thing, potential inverse head and shoulders, back down and towards your 236 for continuation. And then Amazon as well, another one where it's your previous all-time highs, as you can see right here. So Amazon, AMD, these ones look good, right? Keep an eye out on major pullbacks to look for a long back towards the upside. Right now, we're in the early stages of a reversal setup, so you don't have to be the first one. There's going to be a lot of nice setups now with the overall markets bouncing coming into kind of the end of week here. We have a couple more earnings, overall markets, potentially we have good news catalysts coming to the end of year here as well. So just keep an eye on these names coming to today, right off for key levels that we have, as I mentioned, right? And then Nvidia, keep an eye on this one. And then of course, AMD along with Amazon, which are my favorite personally here on the daily chart. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. Also ran out of water here as well, so I'm gonna head out, but hopefully you guys did enjoy that. The pre-market preps basically back to our regular schedule program. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy that. If you did, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the watch list, that of course is in the description below, and then I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care everyone. Peace.